Hello everyone, and welcome to the Bop It Bopcast. My name is Kenny, and today with me I have a special guest, Ryan. Say hi.
Hi everyone.
You may or may not know him from his channel Ryan Plays Bop It, but you've never heard his voice before unless you follow this channel. So go subscribe to that channel. Boom, it's on the screen right now. Boom, cool, easy music and sound effects. And yeah, let's go ahead and dive into what this podcast is even freaking about. Basically, this is going to be a podcast all about electronic games and its history and Bop It and Simon, just basically anything about electronic games is the point of this podcast. I will try to have different special guests in different episodes, but for the first episode or two, we will have Ryan here currently before I can make arrangements to have other people. So let me go ahead and explain what today's episode is about. Today is dedicated to you beginners. If you're just starting out your electronic game collection and you like Bop It and Simon and stuff, then this video is just for you. Great, so hey y'all, it's like a day later, and it turns out a piece of this footage was lost. How was it lost? I have no damn clue, because I swear when I first started editing, I had the piece of footage. Now, I don't have the piece of footage. So basically in this part, I talked about the Bop It original, which was the first Bop It game. Talked about how it has 3 simple commands, 3 simple modes, stuff like that, and how you get them really cheap to use, but a lot more expensive to do. This is the original Bop It. It's just the perfect one to start out with, and also considering that there's 3 different versions of it, the 96, the 98, and the 2000, making them even easier to get your hands on. Anyways,
The next game is going to be the Bop It Shout, released in 2009 with 4 commands: Bop It, Twist It, Pull, and a new command, Shout It. This game has 3 games: Solo, Pass It, and Party, and 3 levels that get increasingly more difficult: Novice, Expert, and Master. You could get your hands on these things for pretty cheap, around $10 to $15 used, but new, probably around $30. I would totally recommend this game to a beginner that is just starting out bopping, twisting, and pulling. No!
alright, the next game I'm going to talk about is the Bop It Extreme 2 from 2002. This Bop It is a little bit harder considering it has 5 commands: Bop It, Twist It, Pull It, Spin It, and Flick It. It has many different modes such as Vox Bop Solo, Vox Bop Pass It, Vox Bop 1-on-1, and Beat Bop variants of those modes, which are just sound effect modes. This game scores up to 250, meaning it lasts longer, but is relatively slow, surprisingly. It has 4 different changing beats that repeat 4 times, and overall is a super duper fun game, and even comes in rare UK colors such as black, pink, and white. I would totally recommend this one, because you can typically find them at, again, pretty good prices. $25 to $40, so a little bit more, but still, such a good deal, such a nostalgic game. A lot of people had this. Alright Ryan, why don't you go ahead and tell us about the next Bop It?
The next Bop It is going to be the Bop It Extreme 2022 from 2022. This Bop It is very similar to a game released 11 years earlier, but that would take too long to explain. So, whatever. This game has 5 commands: Bop It, Twist It, Pull It, Spin It, and Flick It. It also has 4 game modes: Solo, Passive, Party, and 1-on-1. These are actually available for $29.99 on Amazon.com. Don't buy it on eBay because you're probably going to get scammed and you're probably going to pay like $50 for it. This game is fun and fun.
It is. Alright everyone, time to tell you all about the next Bop It, which is the Bop It from 2016. Some people like to call it the Bop It Refresh, some people like to call it the Bop It Deluxe, some people even like to call it the Bop It New Moves, and some people like to call it the Call It. Whatever I mean by that. Anyways, so the Bop It from 2016 has 6 game modes: Action, Action, Pass It, Classic, Classic, Pass It, and Beat Bop Pass It. 3 volume levels: Quiet, Loud, and Blasting. In Action mode, you're not just bopping, you're not just twisting, and you're not just pulling. Hammering, combing, sawing, and much more. It has 10 new action commands which uses motion sensors to do. And the Bop It button is also detected by motion by you smacking it. Now, I know it might sound complicated, but once you get the hang of it, it's not that bad, and I've never beaten it before, but that's because Action is actually pretty hard. Classic is just your classic Bop It with Bop It, Twist It, Pull It, and Beat Bop is your sound effect mode. And yeah, overall it's a pretty cool Bop It, and it's not too vintage, so it's pretty easy to get your hands on. They do run for a bit more, from like $15 to $45, but like, you can get pretty lucky with these. So yeah, that's the Bop It 2016. Alright, Ryan, tell us about something else that I'm about to explain.
This Bop It has 3 commands. Bop It, Twist It, Pull It. 3 games. Vox Bop, Beat Bop, and Light Bop It. 3 modes. Solo, Pound It, and one-on-one. This thing even has extendable and de-extendable arms.
And what else does it have?
It also has lights. Kind of like what I explained earlier. Light Bop. Wow. So the Light Bop mode has lights that can actually trick you. Let's see if you can get 500. So the reason why this Bop It didn't make the list was because of 3 reasons. 1, I think it's a little bit too challenging for a beginner to start. 2, they are so expensive, especially new in the box. And 3, they are just a little bit too rare. You should start off with something quite common for your first Bop It. That's what I think, at least.
Yeah! Okay, now that we have the Bop It's finally done, guys, we can move on to the Simons! So I'll be taking the role of the first Simon. And I'm not the biggest Simon, like, person, like I don't have the most knowledge about Simons, but I'll do my best here. The first Simon is the Simon Trickster Pocket, which was released in 2006. The Simon Trickster Pocket has 4 different modes: a classic mode, a revenge mode, a red mode, and something else that I'm not remembering off the top of my head.
Rewind!
Yep, that was about to see, but maybe Ryan can help. It's rewind times. I don't know. Anyways, it's a relatively small Simon, which is pretty cool. It's a little vintage, but it's not that rare, and can be gotten for a really cheap price. And, I mean, I do recommend getting a full-size Trickster as well at some point, but it's kind of better to start off with this one just due to its portability. And I do prefer 1 or 2 of the modes on it over the Simon Trickster Big Edition mode. Alright, Ryan, tell us about the next Simon. Simon!
The next Simon is going to be the Simon Clear Pocket from 1998. It's a Simon, it's clear, and it can fit into your pocket.
Wow, I would have never guessed that.
I know. Yeah, this game is on the list because it's basic, it's fun, it's durable. Never mind.
And it's a Simon.
It's a Simon. Yeah, it's a Simon, guys. It's a good speaker. It's easy to take off the cap, and it's just a classic Simon. But
Yeah,
that can fit into your pocket. Unlike the original Simon Pocket from 1980, I don't know what that design was. Yeah, that is the Simon Pocket from 1998. It's also clear. I kind of want to say that.
You did! Alright guys, so we're gonna flash the lights on and on. Because the next Simon is the Simon Flash, which was released in like 2010. Something like that. Basically, this is a really advanced Simon. It has 4 modes and 4 cubes. What do I mean by cubes? Well, it's 4 separate cubes that each take 2 AAA batteries. So you're gonna need 8 AAA. If you don't mind that. Basically, though, you use the cubes in a very interesting way. They have technology to where they can sense each other. So you'd have a mode where, like, you have to find the secret pattern by putting the cubes in the correct order. You have a mode where it's classic Simon. You have a mode where it's like, turn all the lights out, and stuff like that. And it's just a Simon. It's a really awesome Simon. It's honestly one of my favorites, so, Flashpad.
Yeah. Simon Flash is probably one of the most underrated Simons of all time.
Yeah, I don't know why I get so much hate and backlash. It really is a good Simon.
Right.
So, what's the next one?
Yeah, the next one is the Simon Micro Series, released in 2014. Yeah, it has 2 game modes and was actually voiced by Buddy Rubino, but has a robotic effect on the voice. It has doubles, triples, quadruples, all that stuff. 4 buttons, 4 lights, and so much more. It scores up to 100, and it makes so many cool sounds. Do you agree, Kenny?
Yep, I agree. Whoa, did y'all hear that ice cream truck style music? That can only mean one thing. Well, it's time for the final Simon on the list. I did want to throw one big Simon in here with a lot of modes, and a more complex one. And this one is kind of rare, but there are other versions of it and stuff, so this is why I put it on the list. So without further ado, play that music one more time. Nice. It's the Super Simon from 2003, which actually had an earlier release called the Super Copycat, but we just aren't going to talk about that because I don't feel like wasting my time. So yeah, the Super Simon from 2003 has 6 game modes. A classic Simon mode, you have a pass it type mode, you have a code buster mode, which we also saw again on Brain Warp. There's a mode where all the lights light up except one, and that's the one you have to press, and just a bunch of cool modes. It's got some really cool sounds with 3 different sound packs, and has an amazing overall design. It has a bunch of switches, a bunch of lights, and a bunch of cool stuff. And now that you guys know about that, it's time for the Simon Honorable Mention.
The honorable mention for Simon is the Simon Squared, Simon 2, Simon 2000, whatever you want to call it. That was released in 2000. This is the first and only Simon that has 2 sides of Simon 5. Yep, I definitely meant to say Simon.
What is a
So,
Simon?
this game is yellow and it's kind of shaped like an oval and has quite a weird voice. Play it up on the screen! Wow, guys, that's a cool voice, guys.
I definitely plan to insert that clip, and now I definitely will or will not have to.
Okay. So this game has 7 game modes: Simon, Challenge Simon, Group Simon, and there's another one that I kind of forgot the name of. Then on the back side is a completely different story. When you press the start button, it makes such a nice, beautiful, and just awesome startup music sequence start. It has Challenge Simon, Extreme Simon, Ultimate Simon, Extreme Simon, and Ultimate Simon, Counterattack Simon.
Yeah, you forgot counterattack.
Yeah, Counterattack Simon.
Okay, what buttons does it have?
It has like 10 buttons. 12 buttons. Guys, it's 12 buttons.
I guess start button, no. Button for
It has a game button, a start button, and a level button on each side. Pretty cool, guys.
And you can
I
mute
am
it.
just thinking of things to say before I mess up. If
Then
you guys
you
enjoy
can-
it, I'm bad at talking, and that is honorable mention.
And you can mute it like how I can mute myself. Alright, so we finished up the Bop It section and the Simon section, leaving us with only one more section, the non-Bop It, non-Simon section. We did set some requirements for this section. For example, we will feature 1 game for It in here, 1 hyper game, and 1 brain game. The other 2 are kind of just random picks. But the first one, I'm actually about to hold in my hand. The Brain Warp from 1996/2002. This Brain Warp definitely works, and it definitely didn't almost catch on fire. So yeah, the Brain Warp is a game with Tiger Electronics. It's kind of like Bop It and Simon combined. In game 1, you follow the command's colors: red, orange, yellow, green, purple, and white. In game 2, you follow the numbers 1 through 6. In game 3, it combines the 2 number and color actions. In game 4, it gives you a sequence that you have to repeat with numbers and colors. In game 5, it's Code Buster, kind of like the Super Simon, except it's a lot easier to explain here. It'll give you the color to start on, and then you just have to figure out the pattern yourself. And in game 6 is Pass Attack. You can play with only 2 to 6 players, so no 1 player there. Basically, you just take turns adding colors to the sequence to see how long you can remember. It has a power button, a terrible battery cap, especially on the 2002, and is really cool. And don't forget about the Star Wars variant that was released in 2001, which is probably my favorite Brain Warp out of them all. But yeah, that's Brain Warp for you. Alright, yo guys! Ryan's gonna tell us about Zing ID. Sing it!
Yep, Zing It was released in 1999 by Hasbro, by the creators of Bop It. You can zing it, loop it, and bop it There's three game modes: Box Bop, Bop Bop, Beat Bop, and Box Bop Challenge. Yep. Um, and there you can actually get them for really cheap in the box, around 14.99. Really good deal, right?
Yeah, that's just a fun yo-yo game, and it goes up to 250, I think.
250.
Yep.
It goes up to 250, and it they clap for you when you win.
It's horrible. Alright, next game. It's Maestro. Bounce, down, 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 dump, down, 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 bounce, down, 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 dump, dump. Bounce, down, 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 bounce, down, 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 bounce, down, 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 dump, dump, bum, bum, bum. Can't touch this. Oh yeah. The Maestro is basically if you took Simon and combined it with an old CD of your favorite songs. Basically, it is a Simon that uses touch sensors and has like so many popular songs like Smoke on the Water, Can't Touch This, Those are the only two I know, I don't know the rest of them, and it has like 9 sensors and it's actually pretty challenging and you play along to your favorite song and it's really fun and I don't have one but I really want to get one and you guys should get one too.
So guys, the next game we are doing is Hyper Toss, released in 2017. It requires a ball to some success. Yep, it has 4 game modes: Hyper Toss, Super Toss, Memory Toss, and
Freestyle!
And it also has volume control, which is honestly really hard to get to. 90% of people who have a Hyper Toss might not even know about the volume control unless they read the manual like no one does.
Yep.
Has a cool voice. Kind of reminds me of Bop It Beats, but not at the same time.
Reminds me of Adam Rossi, I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that makes sense. That's actually better than the Bop It Beats. So Kenny, good job. Round of applause.
So what does Hypertoss do?
So yeah, it requires a ball, and when it says a ball to something, when it says a color, you have to throw the ball to something 7 on to the correct player. There's red, blue, and green. If it says blue, you gotta flop the ball to blue. If it says green, you have to flop the ball to green. And if it says red, yeah, you probably know what to do.
Red.
You gotta flop it to red. And guys, this game is about speed, reaction, memory, and freestyle. You can just have fun. You can just create your own kind of beat.
Yeah, I mean, it's Hypertoss. It's actually made by Moose Games.
Yeah, it's probably...
Which also made Flip Slide.
Flip Slide, which may or may not be on this list.
Maybe. I'm not saying.
I'm not saying.
Next game. Alright everyone, Torx! Torx was a little game, which is actually a big game, released by Big Monster Toys in 2000. It features bending and twisting. Basically take a Bop It and change it a bit. But the twisting is different. There's commands like twist me back, twist me again, bend the other side, bend me again, it might be a thing, I don't know, straighten me, and bend the other side, which sounds like it's saying bend the big side, because it is saying bend the big side, I don't care what anyone says. There's an on-off switch, and 4 modes, and first mode, you just do that until you get up to 240, except it has Torch challenges where it gives you a pattern of sequences that you have to repeat. In the second mode, you have to find the right combo of, like, not combo, but find the secret pattern by twisting and bending until it's, like, correct. And in game 3, you listen for the beep. If it's the right beep, you do it. If it's the wrong beep, you don't. And in game 4, it's pass me. You pass Torch around and have fun. Honorable mention time, say it with me, Ryan. Honorable mention time, you didn't say it, I don't care. What's honorable mention?
May or may not be the next game.
I heard you say ha, so.
Ha.
Okay, so what is the honorable mention?
The honorable mention is the Gia, released in 2006. So the reason why this wasn't on the list was because of many, many, many reasons. Number 1, it has 10 game modes. Kind of has 11, but we're just going to say 10 for now. It has 10 game modes, and that the 10 game modes are very, very, very complex. Each
Yeah.
mode has their own spin on another electronic game that was maybe released before or after the yeah. Number two, it's UK exclusive. So if you live in Canada, the US, Australia, China, I don't know, just not the UK, it's going to be quite hard to import. It would cost a lot of money and just isn't worth it to a beginner who doesn't necessarily know if they want to collect bobbits forever. And number
I
three,
actually couldn't have said that better.
what? What?
I said I actually couldn't have said that better.
Okay, yeah, yeah. And yeah, the Yeah has 10 game modes, so many game modes, and has like a really creepy voice. No, that's the Japanese one, guys. There's a Japanese one. Oh my god!
The Japanese one is the one with the creepy voice, but the English one just is different.
It's different. It's a different voice. It's 10
So
exciting multi-level memory games, screaming explosive sounds and lights, and uh
stuff. And we're not going to get
yeah,
into all 10 of the game modes because that would take like 10 minutes. A minute per
yeah,
game mode. So, no.
yeah. It was made by Tomy in 2006. Six.
Yep. And that is our honorable mention.
Yep.
Alright, everyone. That basically completes this podcast. We went over the 5 Boppets, the 5 Simons, and the 5 other games which featured hyper games, brain games, and it games, and me games, and that type of thing. So, yeah, that's really it for this podcast, but we do want to take time really quick to talk about one more thing, and that is looking forward into the next episode. Alright, so looking into the future, our next episode is going to be about the cheapest electronic games you can get, meaning that they probably are trash, probably aren't. It really just depends on the game itself. And most of the time it's judging by eBay prices, but like, kind of have to, because a lot of the games are getting vintage. So yeah, we might have Ryan in that episode, we might not. It's
Cause
gonna
I'm
be a
horrible at my
surprise.
job.
Maybe, but it's gonna be a surprise me, essentially. So you guys will just have to wait and see. So yeah, that is going to conclude this episode of the Bop It Bopcast. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for being here, Ryan, and doing a great job.
I definitely did a great job.
And you definitely didn't just pull it ready to go. That's actually high pitched. So yeah, I guess now we will sign off. So Ryan, what do you have to say?
Um, ready, go. I have a question for you. What are you gonna say to the podcast? Ready, go. Ready, go.
I'm going to sleep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Ready, go. Set it. Stay. Bye.
What, Ryan? Where did he go? He left the Google Meet.